What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Here's another drama episode. Hopefully the last one for a while at least, right? So there are a lot of channels that the majority, if not all of their content is about either me or Gunner or me and Gunner, right? And I've always said, if somebody can get a view talking about me or talking about Gunner, they got a lane. Even if it's one view, you have a lane, right? But now I'm going to say this before I get into the video. The vast majority of you guys that watch me and watch these other channels, you guys have never been involved in the lifestyle. You guys don't know the intricacies of the lifestyle. It's just fascinating to you, right? Well, a lot of these guys that talk about me, they have intentionally spread false narratives. They have told blatant, outright lies as a means to get clicks, views, and confuse you, to use you, basically. And I would just wonder why after a certain amount of time, people wouldn't say, man, you know what? Every one of this guy's videos is about the same person, and it's another lie. Now, yesterday I was told that, and I'm not going to say these dudes' names. Yesterday I was told that there's a content creator, right? Some dude, Mexicano out of Oakland. I believe it's Oakland. And he's putting in his 2 cents, right? Now, this dude in the past has said that he heard from people that knew me behind the walls that said, like, no, that dude was really with it, right? And he didn't say that to support me. He said that to put out the truth, the facts. And I've never spoken to the dude, but that forced me to say, hey, I gotta respect that. Even if the guy don't like me, he's keeping it real. That's what men do, right? Now, he has since changed and starts to dabble in the cheeseman and the gossip, which is unfortunate. Because if you talk to people that knew me, why would you listen to internet trolls? I digress. So I didn't watch a second of his video. I went straight to the comments. I said, let me see, because I don't even care what this, for the fact that he said one thing and then has flip-flopped, I don't want to hear nothing he has to say, right? But there was a comment in there, and I don't remember who it was by, but there was a comment by an individual who said that I had never done nothing while I was incarcerated, and that I dropped a knife. I guess I dropped a knife in front of the cops 3 different times, right? And I was just like, I don't know. I don't know that these are, and I guarantee that guy got that from someone else. You know what I mean? Another content creator. Who? Which one? I don't know. I don't care. But let's do this. Never do I want to ever glamorize the criminal lifestyle or incarceration. It's all misery. Okay? People choose that lifestyle because of something that happened in their past. Maybe it was a poor decision. Maybe it was a traumatic event. Whatever it was, right? But they choose that lifestyle for that reason. But when I was in prison for a good chunk of time, I was involved. When I was in the California Youth Authority, I was not somebody who just sat in the background. I ran a dorm. When I went to the joint, I was not going to be somebody that was just going to sit in the background, sit in the bleachers, and talk about what the real players on the yard are doing. Nah, I'm going to be a player on the yard. Unfortunately, I was that dude. I was dumb. I was angry. I was bitter. I wanted to blame everything and everyone, right? But I was also going to be the best I could be while I was doing what I was doing, right? I was placed in leadership positions in a couple different places. We'll just say it like that, right? Had I ever dropped a knife, ever, anybody who knows, put the hate, the dislike to the side. If you know the game, if I would have dropped the knife ever, what would have happened? I'd have got hit. I would have never been in positions of authority. And a lot of these dudes that are spitting these false narratives, they know that. But they also know that a lot of you don't know that, right? So 3 knives. There were 3 times that 3 weapons were charged. I was charged with 3 weapons as a shoot term, right? But check this out. This is what I'm going to do for you. My very first shoot term was a melee, participation in a melee against the Bulldogs, right? Over some gambling. Now, I want to point out that happened over a basketball game. I wasn't on the basketball team. I wasn't even on the basketball court. But when the shit hit the fan, I made sure I got my ass over there and got involved. Never got down. Even after the Mini 14 was fired, never got down. People that were there, they know the truth. So I go to AdSig. That's only a 4-month shoot. Nada. I'll be back out in the yard in a few months, right? Except while we were in AdSig, there was this wood from Sacramento. If he was a devious, angry, like mischievous vato, he wasn't even sentenced to prison time. He was fighting his case in Sacramento, but any cell they would put him in, he would break down any type of weapon stock. He was taking all their cells apart. So they brought him to AdSig. Couldn't put him on the yard. He's not sentenced yet. They had him in AdSig in New Folsom. He was single cell. He was walk alone. Anywhere he went, he was under a sergeant escort, meaning 2 SEALs and a sergeant had to escort him on the chain. So they put the cuffs on him and put a chain with a triangle. They hold the triangle, right? This dude, I don't know how he did it. Took his light, unscrewed his light. Inside the lights, there's 4 flats of metal in there that hold the glass onto the light. This dude broke down his light, offered the leadership in AdSig for the Southerners a piece of metal each. My cell and another cell. We got it. Boom. Put a point on it. Check this out. The toilets in AdSig and New Folsom, this was back in A5, right? That's the unit, A5. The toilets have like some silicone caulking all the way around them as a sealant, right? Sealant. We cut with razors, we cut the sealant. This was a flat. Slid the flat in there, closed the sealant, so when it goes in, it closes in with the toilet, right? Well, this jackass, the cops went to search his cell, and one smart ass cop, give it to him, pushed on the light, and when he pushed the light went up, and they said, "Oh shit, all the metal's gone." They searched the whole entire AdSig. The knife wasn't in our cell. It was in the toilet chase. We put it inside the toilet chase. Cop got lucky, man. So all that he did, they dropped a knife. So now, that's another shoot term. Remember, I'm already back there for the melee. Now I got the piece that wasn't even in my cell. We tried to fight that, right? So now there's that. Then I catch a sticking in AdSig. So my controlling shoot term, what I went to the shoe for, even though there's 3 different shoot terms, they go with the max. So it was a sticking. So I go, that's my first shoot term. First time going to the Bay. I get out of Pelican Bay. They send me to Tehachapi. And I whack somebody in R&R. Went back to the shoe. Got out of the shoe. The riot happens. I get out in 99. The riot happens in 2000. February 23rd of 2000 on B Yard. This one, they caught us slipping. Me, I'm gonna take more accountability. My Sally, he was still kind of new, right? I told my Sally we had made a pact. We had made a pact. I told him after the riot, I said, listen, what's next is everybody, they're gonna go through all of the homie C files. Everybody that they figure is tipped up somehow, connected to somebody, connected, to the legends, they're gonna raid those cells. I said, they're gonna raid this cell, Holmes, because of, you know, who I would do things for, right? Who I was in contact with. They know everybody who's doing what, right? So I told them they're gonna come. I said, if they come in this cell, Holmes, we're whacking the Huras. He said, yes. I said, okay, cool. I had my piece wrapped, like rolled in a beanie at the end of the bunk. This is where I fucked up. My mattress is rolled up. I'm on the bottom bunk. My Sally's got his mattress rolled up on the floor by the desk, watching TV. They just picked up the breakfast, I believe. Yeah, they just picked up breakfast or just passed out lunches, but it was early still. I'm on my side, and I told him, "Hey, Holmes, you got this? Because I'm gonna fucking take a little power nap. That's a 15-minute nap, one up, one down." He's like, "I got this." This is the mistake I made. I took my earbud because in Pelican Bay there's no speakers. Period. They remove them or they clip them from your TV, right? So everything's earbuds. I lay on my left side, so my left ear is on my mattress, right? It's rolled up, so it's on and I put my headphone in my right ear. I close my eyes. I wake up. I open my eyes to see my Sally standing up. He's like, hey, 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 hey. He's standing up. And I had told this dude the way he had rapped, because, hey, it's wartime. We're supposed to have our shit on us, ready to go. Also ready to keister if we have to. So we had it, a sheath, had it saran wrapped, the handle saran wrapped up, so everything, But the way my Sally had his wrapped, I told him, hey, Holmes, the way you have that sealed, you're not going to be able to open it if the gates pop. And my Sally was a big dude. He's like, shit, I got this. I said, I'm just telling you, Holmes. Sure enough, again, I open my eyes. My Sally's like, hey, hey. And he's standing between the door and me. And he's trying to bust his fucking sheath open and can't. The fucking goon squad rushes us. I don't even have a chance to go grab so that time, they got us. I was pissed. One and only time I did a shoot term for a piece, right? Keep in mind, they rushed the cell because of things that I was involved in. Not my Sally. My Sally was green. And then lastly, my last shoot term was for getting validated. And it's funny because I saw, oh boy, when he was so giggly about my homeboy. And if you trip out, go back and listen to that phone call, my homeboy. That was a voice recording that he said he wanted to keep private. Go back and listen to it. And they still played it. But anyways, he mentioned if he was validated, and it only takes 3 points. Let me tell you something right now. This is a fact. People that know me, especially the time I got validated, around the time I got validated, I happen to be blessed to the point where I was specifically told, if something needs to be done, you don't need to write. Handle it. If there's a legend involved or one of their top soldados, give me a heads up, but handle it first. Then let me know. That way, if they ask anything, I can tell them, yeah, I told them to do that. Not a lot of people get that kind of love. I fortunately had that, right? But I also had a cell phone and a secretary on the streets. And so when I needed to have something go out, it never went out through mail. It didn't come in through mail. It went to my secretary on the streets. So when it came time for me to be transferred from a 180 to a 270, and this is all facts, Sacramento called New Folsom specifically for me, saying, do not allow him to get to a 270. They couldn't control the stuff that was going on the 180, so they were like, he can't go. I got snatched up, placed in that SEG. What happened was they rushed my cell and a couple other cells. In one of the cells, one of the meseros, he got caught slipping. They found some stuff in his cell and planted that stuff in my property in R&R while I was in that SEG, and then validated me for it. It wasn't mine. It wasn't caught in my cell. And look it. When they pulled me out to tell me that I was validated, normally we don't go out. But because of the way they did it, I came out. Cuffed up, came out. The lieutenant, Reed was the lieutenant at the time. One of the ISU members, Parker, was in there. And Sergeant Featherly. And so they read me the little stuff. I was validated, this and this and that. And I told them straight out. I said, so this is how we do things, huh? I said, you guys crossed the line. Like we have a line we all pretty much adhere to, where, you know, you do what you do and we do what we do. Your job is to catch us. Our job is to get away with everything. But there's a line we don't cross. I said, you planted shit on me. You crossed the line. I said, now I got to decide how many COs that I'm going to have hit over this. They freaked the fuck out. This is on everything I love. But I knew I wasn't going to do that. I can't do that. I could have, hit this hura and somebody would have done it. But I'm not going to put any of the homies in that position. And I already know that's going to bring too much heat on me. But I wanted to mind fuck them. But that's what really happened. So those are my 4 shoot terms. 4 times in Pelican Bay. One of the time when I whacked the dude in Tehachapi, I got stuck in Corcoran shoot for a while and then sent back to the Bay. But that's my 4 shoot terms in Pelican Bay. That's for those that say I was never in Pelican Bay shoe. That's for those that individual who says I dropped a knife 3 times. During my incarceration, I was involved in a lot of acts of violence. That's a fact. I don't care what anybody says. Like I say, look, whatever anybody has to say about me doesn't change who I am. Doesn't change what happened. I also want to say this. These dudes that talk all that, all the papas, right? I wasn't just involved in the acts of violence. I also generated a lot of money consistently. I looked out for not only the legends, but I had camaradas of mine, guys I consider friends. They were validated. When you're validated, you don't have a hustle. Maybe you draw, but you can only make so much money that way, right? And I used to send money to these dudes so that they'd be able to get canteen, or maybe they'd stack up some money, send it to their kids, whatever. But again, to say that I dropped knives 3 times, anybody does that 1 time, anybody even has any kind of inclination, man, that dude did that to get busted. He's done. Anybody that knows the California prison system, especially the level 4s, especially the 180s, when you're politicking, your biggest threat is another homie that's politicking, jockeying for position, seeing you as somebody in their way. If I'd have dropped a knife, It would have been another homie that would have pencil with me, washed me up. I never got washed up, never got hit, never fucked up, never made a bad call. So, spit the narrative how you want to. I don't give a damn. None of this matters at the end of the day. But you gave me content. And anybody that's really been on those yards knows. Let me just give you one for example. I was asked to look out for the yard along with four other men in New Folsom, and we stayed there for about 3 years in that spot. If you think there weren't acts of violence during that time, like, I don't know, man. Hey, we don't all get caught for everything. Tell you that much. But, the narrative is so much more important to try to make Dubs look bad than to actually tell the truth. Because if you tell the truth about me, if my haters tell the truth about me, in that world, not according to society's views, right? But in that world, they'd have to give me props. In the big picture, in the grand scheme of life, everything I did was wrong. Everything I did was against what we, as productive members of society, would believe in. But when you're a part of that world, you don't care. It's all about self-preservation. So anyways, that's my video. They gave me a free content idea. And they'll pick this apart. And just keep in mind, the ones that pick this apart, there's only one of them that trolls me that was ever in Pelican Bay Shoe. There's only one of them that was ever really around people. The rest of them, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Just like a lot of the people that weren't incarcerated. Imagine being in prison, saying you've been in prison 15 years and you have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyways, man, I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Spend time with your family, your loved ones. Make great memories, because that's what life's about. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.